Hi stargazers, welcome back to Skywatch Weekly. In this video series, we talk a lot about star patterns, constellations, asterisms, and that's certainly a big part of stargazing. This week, though, I want to go on a little bit of a deeper dive, talk about some individual stars, at least things that look like they're individual, but if you look at it a little bit more closely, maybe with some optical aid, you'll see that there's a lot more than meets the eye. Let's dive into Digistar here. You probably know that stars are very far away, and you might even know that they're at different distances away from us. We see the dome of the sky overhead, sort of a big bowl over us, but there's a lot more depth to it than that. For instance, when we see the shape of the constellation Orion, that picture in the sky is only a chance alignment of stars at different distances in that direction. And the picture only holds that pattern if you're quite close to our solar system. If we fly toward that part of space, the picture quickly gets bent out of shape. Some stars are related, like the Pleiades star cluster, or the Hyades cluster that makes up the face of Taurus the Bull. But even then, appearances can be deceiving. Aldebaran, the bright eye of Taurus, looks like it is part of the V-shaped Hyades star cluster. But in reality, those stars are about twice the distance of Aldebaran and just happen to align to our line of sight. Stars that look like they're related, but really just happen to line up on our line of sight, are called optical doubles. There's a great example of this in Leo the Lion. We're looking west here about 2 hours after sunset at this time of the year, looking right around 10:15 p.m., but you can catch Leo even earlier than that in the west. We're going to look specifically at the backwards question mark asterism, with Regulus at the bottom, the brightest star in Leo the Lion. If you go 2 stars up in the sickle, or the backwards question mark for Regulus, you reach this star, called Algeba. Algeba itself should be easily visible to the naked eye, and there's a somewhat bright star near it that makes an attractive pair with Algeba. But the two are actually very far apart in space and completely unrelated to each other. Now, perhaps surprisingly, the brighter star, Algeba, is farther away than the dimmer one, to the tune of about twice the distance. Now, some stars just look like they're together, but some actually are close and interact with each other through gravity. In fact, the point of light that we call the star Algeba is actually 2 stars, a binary star system, and a good backyard scope will show a view like this, 2 stars side by side. These two are separated by about 4 times the distance between the Sun and Pluto, and are estimated to orbit each other once every 500 years. Double, triple, even quadruple star systems are common, and it's believed that most stars in the Milky Way galaxy are multiple star systems. So our Sun is actually in the minority, being a solo star. Let's turn our attention now to the Big Dipper. The middle star of the handle is called Mizar, and there's a dimmer star near it called Alcor. These two are sometimes called the horse and the rider. Those with reasonable eyesight can pretty easily split these two. But for those with a telescope, the story gets much more interesting. Mizar itself can be split into 2 stars with a backyard telescope. I took this picture through my scope recently. Further study of this system shows that each of these 2 stars in Mizar are in fact doubles themselves. And Alcor, the rider, also turns out to be a very tight double. There's also some evidence that Mizar and Alcor are also gravitationally bound, so this is potentially a 6-star system, although only 2 of them are visible to the naked eye. Well, our third pairing is a real challenge for the naked eye, which qualifies it for our weekly challenge. It's in the constellation of Lyra, the Harp, which we've mentioned before as part of the Summer Triangle, which will feature in a few weeks. It's now climbing in the northeast in the evening sky. The Summer Triangle is a real sort of centerpiece for the summertime sky. So as we get into these summer months, you'll start to find this triangle dominating the sky. Well, the star Vega is part of the constellation of Lyra, the Harp. And an easy way to visualize this constellation is that Vega forms a small triangle with two dimmer stars, and then attached to that is a parallelogram of stars about the same brightness as those dimmer stars. Now, the star not connected to the parallelogram is called Epsilon Lyrae, but stargazers know it as the double double. With excellent eyesight and a nice clear night, you can barely split this double with the naked eye. Now, if you happen to have binoculars, it makes it all that much easier. You'll see it no problem. Two of these stars very closely spaced. Well, why is it called the double double and not just the double? Well, a telescope shows that each of these stars in the system are in fact double themselves. These tighter pairs orbit each other over the course of several centuries, while the wider pairing also orbits over the course of perhaps 500,000 years. So I hope you have a chance this week, and of course over the summer, to go outside and try and catch this very close pairing of Epsilon Lyrae. It'll be right near that bright star, Vega, in the constellation of Lyra, the Harp. And there are plenty of optical doubles in the sky and also lots of true binary stars. Next time you're out, see if you can spot some, either with just your eyes or maybe some binoculars if you have them. I want to turn our attention now to the morning sky. We've got some interesting things going on there. We're going to go to about 3 a.m. Now, the moon is well past the full strawberry moon we saw last week. Tomorrow morning, you'll be able to see a view like this, with a waning gibbous moon, and this is going to be near the planet Mars. Now, we have a third quarter moon coming up on the night of Friday the 12th, and the next morning, early on Saturday the 13th, you'll see a third quarter moon quite close to the planet Mars. This should make a beautiful pairing in the sky if you happen to be up at about 3 a.m. Now, it isn't as easy to see the moon at night right now, during what I call the reasonable hours, the time a reasonable individual would be awake at night. But if you happen to be up much later in the night, go ahead and look for this pairing and that beautiful moon. If you happen to wait until the sun is up to get out of bed, that's fine as well. This is a great phase of the moon to catch it in the morning blue sky, looking in the west in that early morning. You have a great chance to see that daytime moon. So I hope you have a chance this week to get outside and look at the sky, whether you're seeing the moon, maybe seeing the planet Mars, or getting out there and seeing some of these double or multiple star systems in the sky. There's plenty to be seen up there. So thanks once again for watching Skywatch Weekly. Don't forget to subscribe and look up at this every Wednesday. Also follow the Adler Planetarium on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thanks so much, and we'll see you again soon.